Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, the podcast for all things Mecha. Jumpship incoming.
Welcome to Mobile Armor Radio, number 34 of a series of whoever knows how many. My name's Rob.
Infinite. I'm Brian.
And I'm Chopper.
See, we did it. Feels like forever.
Yay! That one floats smoothly.
That was real smooth. Yep, that looked real smooth.
It'll never happen again.
This is, what are we, in April? It's already April Fools. Wow. Time's flying. Yeah.
So that's the show.
April Fools, that's the show.
It was supposed to be Adepticon this last week. We never got to go, which sucks.
Boo.
And, yeah, other than that, I think that's all it's been not happening. Although Gen Con's on, supposedly mid-September.
Yep.
Really?
I'm excited for
that. Like September 6th to the 11th, I think is what I was told.
No, I thought it was later. I thought it was 19th to something. We'll have to check. Go on to GenCon.com. I'm sure it'll tell you.
I'll tell you in just a moment.
I have not been paying attention to that.
As we keep going forward with the show.
I would do vamping. Do come to our Facebook group, Mobile Armor Radio on Facebook, or you can go to our what's it,
YouTube? Discord channel. We got all those things.
Twitter. If you just search Mobile Armor Radio, you'll find us all there. Yeah. But definitely go to Facebook. I think that's the most fanciest of groups.
I think our most active community is there.
That's where we all hang out.
Good people.
Yeah.
And it is 16th to the 24th.
There you go. 16th
or the 20th.
16th to the 20th. So if you're in Indianapolis around that time, come see hi. I'm sure we'll be there. I know Pat will be there. I don't know. Hopefully I will be there. Hopefully I will be there. We'll see how it goes. Maybe Brian will be there.
Well, let's see.
Well, enough of this.
Got married. Now he can't go.
Well, it's also during school times. Yeah, we'll go to the Dropship. We'll talk about what we've been working on. We'll continue with the show.
Let's do it.
Dropship landing.
Okay, welcome to the Dropship. As Pat dropped something.
That was my chair.
It was a ship.
You dropped a ship? Oh no.
But I didn't drop the chair like I did in the hotel room that day.
Yes, you almost gave yourself a exam. Let's start with you, Pat, since you're causing all this ruckus. What have you been working on? It was your birthday.
It was my birthday, so
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. My wife got me some really cool things, so while I haven't started working on it, because I really need to finish this stupid Devastator, I just keep looking at it, and I keep getting distracted, but my wife got me some awesome retro Space 1999 models, the Eagle spaceship, and then the fighter one, which I can't remember what it's called now. I think it's Hawk. I think it was a Hawk. For those of you who don't know, Space 1999 are not old enough. That was a sci-fi show back in the 70s. Martin Landau was in it. They played guys that were stranded on the moon, and all they had was themselves on the moon.
Well, the moon lost.
Oh yeah, it spun out of orbit.
Yeah, that's it. It was no longer around the Earth. It was gone rogue.
It got rogue. So it was cool, and they had the guns that wrapped around the like near the knuckles, so it looked like brass knuckles, and they would shoot. So it's a good show. I enjoyed it. Very fond memories of that.
It's on Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. I was going to watch it all because it's on there.
But I got the spaceship models, which are really cool. So
very nice.
Are they retro models too, or are they new models of the show?
I think they're newer models of the show. They're not the old monogram.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah,
Revel.
They're a pain in the butt. Those old ones. I remember I had a bridge of the Enterprise when I was a little kid, and man, they didn't make it easy for you.
Yeah, they didn't make good models back then.
No, there was no nowadays with like slots and pegs, and it was all just like, yeah, you glue a flat piece to another flat piece. Good luck.
Yeah, definitely, we were in a much better place.
A slightly warped flat piece.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it wasn't even straight. You're right.
So because we started reading books again, and I got
ran out of entertainment,
and I got my computer fixed. Since we haven't hobbied in a while, I think we're going to rectify it this week, though.
Yeah, we're going to do some hobby
because I want to get some stuff done.
Nice.
I want to finish up. I really want to get a Clan Vacation Guy model painted nicely. The prototype turned out really good, and I'm very happy with it. And now I want to make my clan mech for Clan Vacation. What do they call the leaders of the clans? The cons?
Con, yep.
Yeah, I want to make my con mech.
And what were you quoting to us before the beginning of the show?
Oh, I was quoting a lot. Oh yeah, hey, there you go, Wrath of Khan. He tasks me. My guys won't talk like that.
They'll be more like, dude. Kind of fun.
Yeah, they'll be like, dude. He harshes me.
Oh, that's why.
Don't harsh my buzz, man.
He harshes me, man. What else do I got going on?
Heat sinks are killer, dude.
There's no heat in this mech. This is awesome. Still printing. Well, I was printing aerospace models until I got a fail, and I have a bunch of floating resin and some resin stuck to the FEP, the little flimsy plastic thing on my resin printer. So I have to change that out, which I haven't had a chance to do. Again, that's something for this week also to do. And that's it. That's all I got.
Nice.
How about you, Brian? What you been up to? You did see you posted some.
Yeah, I saw some pics.
Yeah. So one of the things I've been working on is right now there's in the Mantic Dead Zone world, or Mantic worlds in general, is that there's a writing contest going on, and I really should have been working on that, but I kind of I hung out with my buddy Rick, and he was showing off like all these basically like Battletech mechs that he'd been 3D printing too. I think he's been getting into that Alpha Strike a bit more, and it just kind of like got that bug going. I was like, man, I really want to do another Strider. I haven't built a Strider in a long time, and it's one of those like I only had I think 2 kits laying around, maybe 1.5. I sometimes cobble parts,
yeah,
to make some of the ones, but it was always something that I had made one of these Striders, which if you've never seen the Dead Zone Strider before, think of that movie Avatar, the James Cameron one, and the mechs in there are pretty close.
There are mechs in The Last Airbender?
Well, technically in Korra there are.
I was going to say, yeah, there is.
Whoops. There's mechs everywhere.
Man, I'm going to have to add that to the list later. But
yeah, Avatar came out before Dead Zone, right? Yeah. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. Avatar, the James Cameron one, I think it was 2009.
Yeah, Dead Zone wasn't until like 2015, I think it was.
But anyway, I had made one of these Striders up, or done a couple in the past. One I made as a goof custom, and because I love 08th MS Team, I had to make the companion EZ8 version. Now, the thing about those two is that I took parts from SD Gundam kits and I think a high grade.
What? High grade?
Right. to make some of the pieces. So like the shield on the Gundam and the shield that's on my Goof Custom and like little bits and pieces. Majority of them were the Dead Zone Striders, but there were kind of these accents. And one of the downsides of that is like they were really fun to do. I really liked how they turned out, and I couldn't enter them in any contest.
Yeah. Because
they weren't 100% Mantic. And so I was like, okay, I want to do kind of the regular ground type Gundam to pair with my EZ8. And but I'm like, it has to be 100% Mantic. And sure enough, I like cobbled together a bunch of stuff. I just kind of pulled out my bits box as it was, and I had at least 1.5 Strider kits available. So, like I said, when I should have been working on my story, I'm like, I'm gonna start putting some of this stuff together and see what happens. And it really came together in a fun way. It's if you look at it, I don't know if my pictures capture everything because it's basically primed to be painted on next. Which I did is kind of like a black base, and then I kind of hit it with white spray paint, kind of from an upward angle, just to kind of give it some natural shadowing before I paint it proper. And it's kind of a neat effect. I've been using that for a lot of my building stuff too. And so eventually I'll start painting it. But I did manage to get it pretty close to my Easy 8 style, with a lot of the Dead Zone scenery stuff. Like I probably cut up like 3 ladders and some of like the scatter terrain and stuff like that. The shield on his arm is like the base of one of the lamp posts. So it's and the V antenna array, which I don't know if it comes up in pictures very well because it's white on white, but I do have the V antenna on this one. That's actually 2 blades from a Teraton gauntlet.
That's awesome.
So
I did notice it. You can see that V. I looked for it, and you can see it.
Okay, cool.
But you got to paint it. Yeah, you paint it make it a little brighter.
Yeah, and I it's all like a lot of it's magnetized too.
Oh, cool.
Which was a lot of fun to do. So like the arms come off, so I can switch out. I made it. I gave it a sword. I'm gonna try to do like a beam saber kind of thing. As opposed to
if you have any
kits, with a chainsaw.
Like almost every Gundam kit comes with extra beam sabers, so you should be able to cobble one of those out of there somewhere.
Well,
you want it to be 100% Mantic.
It's got to be 100% Mantic.
Well, with that being said, you could take a piece of acrylic and that would still count.
Well, what I wound up doing was I took some more of those lampposts.
Yeah, I was going to say, the lampposts are pretty skinny. You can use that.
And use that. But so it kind of worked out where I'm able to stick on the alternate weapon options, and then I made a backpack for it that I also magnetized. And my whole thought being is like, oh, I could make like essentially like striker packs for the Gundam Seed folks out there. Basically, there's just different backpack options to do different weapon loadouts and stuff.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And so it's kind of, I'm kind of treating it as like a mass production version of my Gundam kit because you could make it with 100% Mantic. Hopefully I do a good enough job painting it that it would
100%
be
100% Mantic if you have all those little bits from everything.
I mean, yeah.
You could have a tutorial and everybody be like, I don't have something that hasn't been manufactured for like 10 years. What are you talking about?
Right. I should have just made it out of elf parts.
eBay, people, eBay.
Elves.
But
yeah,
but no.
How many boxes of elves do you still have laying around?
Oh, we got like a dozen at least.
So you don't even want to know what's in the storage.
I remember when you foisted his car was full of elves from the storage unit. Oh, you're like, give these away, please. Just get them out of here.
We have made a good dent in that supply, to be fair, but we still have at least a good dozen of those 50 model packs. But I digress. So it is something where I'm not quite in the space to paint yet. Like, where my hobby interests lie. I'm kind of in an assembly mode. I kind of want to just build stuff. And so I've been thinking of going into my little storage unit and digging out the stuff I had to make an Iron Ancestor in a Gurren Lagann style, where I basically just have like drill arms to give him and paint on the face. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And then eventually when I get around to painting, one of the other projects I got on the docket is to do finally make some Asterians. And I think I mentioned before, I want to paint them in the style of Zentradi in Macross. So that should be a lot of fun.
Even Evangelion, they might work pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because they're skinny.
That was
they're lanky. You could do the whole set of them.
Mm-hmm.
Or
that
the Cypher. Yeah.
Do like different Cypher Primes or the Black Talons as some of those Evangelion mechs. Black Talons maybe, because they have those kind of shoulder fins that really stand out.
Yeah, they kind of look like it. Yep.
But yeah, that's so I've for once I've actually been doing a little bit of hobby, and I'll turn it back over to you, Rob.
I have been, like Pat said, 3D printing a lot of aerospace ships just because we've been able to find some. So we're like, okay, let's try to different scales. And I printed quite a few of those. And I had to design my own flight base and trying to make it solid and make it so it prints and doesn't just snap off, which is harder than you think. But, so I've been trying that.
One of these days I'll get a 3D printer.
Everybody will have a 3D printer one of these days.
Right. They're
getting so cheap now. But, yeah, so I've been doing that, a lot of 3D printing of those guys. Coming up pretty cool. I don't have a resin printer. I just have a Ender 3 Pro, and I dialed it in. I think I get pretty good prints out of it now, especially at that small scale, so it's been working out. Happy with that. I also finally dragged out some of those WizKids Transformers models, the unpainted ones, and I've been painting Optimus and Megatron. They're supposedly pre-primed. That's BS. They're not pre-primed. If they are pre-primed, I don't know why paint doesn't stick to them. But I tell you right now, prime these things. Don't try to paint on them. Because it's caused me more trouble than anything trying to like paint on the unprimedness. Just prime them right from the start and don't have to deal with all this trouble. But yeah, I got Optimus done and Megatron's half done. Like he was one of the ones that, because he was already gray. So I was like, oh, he's already gray. I don't have to do much to him but then trying to paint on whatever that material is that it's almost like bones. That's what they use. It's got the same quality as bones. It doesn't like taking paint and it kind of pools off of it. It's kind of odd. But yeah, they're fun. I can't wait to get more of them. Once again, at Adepticon, I probably would have picked up the rest of them if they were there. When I went to Pat's hobby shop, that's where I picked these ones up. So yeah, excited about those. And other than that, I've been trying to catch up on other painting, but I just have so much. It's finally nice out, though, so I can start priming stuff, which is the key. Once you can prime, I think that speeds up the painting process. So I get these guys done. I have Bumblebee to prime, and I have Starscream, which I'm excited to paint. So I got those two. So those are the 4 I have right now. I think the second set has, like, Soundwave, and I can't remember who else. But I like them, so they're fun. No game associated with them. And I would say, they probably scale well with, like, 20 millimeter, maybe even 15. They're probably a little bit big for 15 and too small for 28, so maybe 20 millimeter. If you want to do a Transformers game at that scale, you could definitely get vehicles at that scale, but to actually... They have that Bot Wars game. I don't know if anybody's heard of that. It's out of Australia. I guess it was originally a licensed Transformers game, and then they lost the license.
Oh, so it sucks.
So they do it. Now they do it as like looks sort of similar to Transformers.
They should go the GoBot license.
Right.
Hasbro owns GoBots now. GoBots are part of Transformers.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yep. Hasbro owns everything now, though, so you're not saying much.
What's the other robot one? Is it just GoBots?
Well, then Diaclone and stuff in Japan. But, yeah, well, He-Man had some Transformers in his line. Like, when Transformers craze was on, everybody had Transformers in their lines.
That's true.
That's a good point. Even McDonald's had transforming French fries.
Yeah, that's right. I'm pretty sure those are all... and they had burgers and shakes and stuff. They were pretty cool.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure all that is owned by Hasbro now. I think all those companies are Hasbro. Because Hasbro bought Kenner, they bought Tonka, they bought, like... So all these other companies that made stuff in the 80s, Hasbro owns. It's pretty scary. Hasbro is the Disney of the toy world.
That's true.
True.
Yeah. So I think that's about it. Anything else anybody got to talk about that they're working on right now?
No working.
Yeah.
Nothing mech related, at least. And
nope.
Yeah, we'll get to the next section, which I have a lot to talk about because I've been bored. So I've had a lot of things to talk about in ComStar.
Message from ComStar.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Rick.
From Dead Zone the Podcast.
And you're listening to
Mobile Armor Radio.
Okay, welcome to ComStar. This is TVs, movies, books, comics, RPGs, video games, anything else media related. Brian, you might as well start this time.
Yeah, my list here is going to be shorter than yours, I'm sure. I've actually been taking a little break from. I kind of stopped playing Front Mission almost as soon as I started playing it, and Xenogears has been put on the back burner. A lot of this is due to the whole like writing thing, because that's usually when I do it, is in the evening right before I go to bed, which was my PlayStation 1 playtime. But the one that I've kept going was Death Stranding. Still a very strange game. And I haven't looked up how far I am in the story. They are kind of divided into like chapters and sections and stuff. I'm avoiding looking too far ahead, or like I'm not using a guide at all. I'm just kind of figuring it out as I go. But I don't want to find out exactly, what the chapter count is, just in case. But I am kind of I'm intrigued at the story. Like, it's finally kind of grabbed me, as it took a little bit to get going, because the gameplay still is very much, okay, you're going to walk from point A to point B and hopefully don't get attacked by dudes with electric spears or invisible ghosties, like Final Fantasy: The Spirits Within. But yeah, the story itself is kind of compelling. I think I mentioned before, it's got, it's a Hideo Kojima game. We got Norman Reedus as our main character. Guillermo del Toro is not only probably involved in some of the story, but also is a character, like not a character, but he's an actor in the game. Oh, yeah. And Mads Mikkelsen. Yeah. And then so there's been some more intrigue coming out in the story. It's evolving in a interesting way, or there's a bit of mystery, a little bit of like, okay, who's actually on my side? Whose side am I on? And where we're all heading towards. So it's very abstract. But other than that, I really haven't been doing as much in the mecha field. I've got so many things on my list to like watch. I really want to do a rewatch of all of Full Metal Panic before I finish off that final season that I got my hands on. I haven't had a chance to check out that Pacific Rim, which I know you're going to be talking about later. So a lot of stuff on the docket. Hoping when I finish doing this writing project, I can kind of take a little break and get back into things. And when I finish off Death Stranding, I think I'll have more time for some other stuff too. So, but yeah, that's me. How about you, Pat?
Me. Let's see. What have I done? So, I finished up the Kerensky novels, and I picked up the Whisper novel. I have not started reading that, but I have picked it up. Have any of you guys read the Whisper novel? Is it any good?
It's not available in Canada yet, so I haven't been able to get it.
Huh, weird.
Yeah, it's I don't know why.
Do you guys not speak English there?
We don't speak Amazon.com, it seems. Yeah, for some reason you can't.
French.
I think I can get the hard copy, but I can't get the digital copy for some reason. So.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Huh.
But we will put the link to it in Amazon.com, so anybody wants to catch it up. But Whisper they're a miniature company. They haven't made a game for it yet, but they get the world based around it. And...
Yeah, they got some really good. They got some good minis out there.
Yeah, I've backed most of their Kickstarters, if not all of them, and they're really nice. They're like pretty much like tag size for Infinity. That not huge, but bigger than 28mm. Probably, I'd say 50mm maybe. And yeah, they're cool. They have real cool poses and stuff, and cool designs for their mechs. So yeah, I'm excited for that novel though.
Nice. I got my CavCon shirts in the mail the other day. I, in fact, wore one of them yesterday. Even though we aren't going to go to CavCon, I still went and bought the shirt anyway, so I pretend like I did go.
Yeah, that's cool that they're doing that.
I binged Pacific Rim: The Black. I don't know how I feel about it. I liked it, yet I'm unsure whether I'll watch season 2.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that whole. I mean, do we talk about it?
No spoilers.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it, but the ending, the 3 stuff at the ending, and the government conspiracy side of it. I don't know.
It was all the Illuminati.
I mean, I'd probably watch it. I mean, let's be honest. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why I said I would. I might not. But we all know I'm a sucker. So I did that. Brian Wade, a good friend of ours and listener, bought me this game called, what's it called again? Mech Mark Company.
Yeah, I have that game.
Through Steam. So, yeah, it's like a Mech Warrior 3 kind of look, 90s style pilot simulation mech. So
I always have more fun with that than Mech Warrior 5, that's for sure.
Yeah, it brings me back to my old Mech Warrior days when it first came out. Playing on dial-up on servers and having a clan and everything, all that stuff. It's a good time. I had to spend about an hour looking for my joystick.
Yeah, it plays a lot better with a keyboard. It doesn't play as well, for sure.
Keyboard, mouse, it's so hard because once your torso turns, you're screwed.
Yep, you have to kind of... Same with Mech Warrior 5 is the same way. You have to remember which way... Because then you start walking in a strange direction. You're like, why? Oh, yeah, I got to center myself again.
Yeah, or you try and turn, and then your mech turns, but the body stays, and then you're like, I can't track him. So it took me a while to get used to doing all that again. But that was fun. I really enjoyed that game. It brought back a lot of fond memories for me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's multiplayer. You might have to try out some multiplayer on it.
I'll have to look. It's still in alpha. It's not a very expensive game. You can get it on Steam. It's
like $20.
Yeah, it's $20 Canadian. It's $12.
Yeah,
it's $12 American.
Yeah, it's pretty cheap.
Did I watch anything else? I don't think I watched anything mecha related other than Pacific Rim Black. I did enjoy your Shotcock's Cybertronic Spree that you posted.
Yes, I love Shotcocks.
I love Cybertronic Spree though.
Yeah. Oh, they're great.
Those guys are fun.
Yeah, those guys are awesome. And if you're listening, guys, keep rocking.
Yeah. I do love it, and for some reason, just Soundwave's voice with him just making martinis or making the cocktails. It's so funny. It's just anytime he messes up, he's just so dry. It's oh my god, I just can't stop laughing. It is one of the funniest things I've watched on the YouTube for a long time. And he always screws things up, and it's funny.
What else? And then I read that comic book that our friend Rob sent us. Ultra Mega. It's a kind of a weird take on kaiju, and they brought mechs in at the very end. So if anyone who wants to read it, check it out. It's by Image Comics, right, Rob?
Yeah, Image Comics. It's done by James Herron and Dave Stewart, and I think it's like if you didn't have the Ultraman license, but they kind of spun off on it, so it'd be like body horror and
yeah, it was like a mix of Ultraman, Pacific Rim, you said, body horror, and
it's really creepy.
RoboCop kind of a thing at the end.
It's the whole thing is it's certain people get this ability to turn into like Ultraman because there's kaiju that other people are turning into kaiju, and
it's a virus that attacks people, and you never know when you're going to turn into a kaiju.
Yeah. So, and it has some surprises at the end. We won't spoil that, but it is pretty creepy and disgusting and ultra violent. It's not for kids. I'll give you that right now.
Definitely, yeah. If you have a kid, don't let them read it. It is ultra violent.
There's some really disgusting things. I will say
I wasn't too impressed with the art. I mean, I can understand whoever who was the artist was going for something a little bit different. It didn't appeal to me all that much.
Yeah, it's pretty stylized, but it's there's one point where there's literally a river of blood that congeals, that turns into like a giant scab that is so disgusting. I was like, oh my god!
And it was like a landslide. They were trying to dig people out of the congealed blood.
It was so disgusting. Yeah. But it's pretty.
The one thing I will like, it showed that the heroes, the big giant Ultra Megas, the Ultra Men. In other terms, they were vulnerable and often got their butts kicked. And also,
they had and it had a lot about like what they have to sacrifice to do this stuff. Like it's not just, hey, I'm a hero. It's also, well, I used to have a family, and what you have to give up to have this. Yeah,
because I think again, not spoiling anything. If you were the Ultra Mega and you happen to be walking, and then you sensed a kaiju person, that person would change, and then you would change to fight him.
Yeah, so right
at a drop of a hat, like you didn't have control over it.
Huh.
So you could either try to live like a hermit and not fight people, or you're always constantly fighting people because you're always stumbling across these people, even if you're going out shopping or like grocery shopping or something. So yeah, it's a really fun comic, and it's like, I think every issue is like 60 pages or something. It's really long too, so it's kind of
cool. I realized as I was reading, like, this thing is never ending.
Yeah, so I think it'll be cool. Hopefully they'll do it as a whole set, like a nice hardcover or something.
Yeah,
oversized hardcover, that'd be nice. But I quite enjoyed it. So it's like Ultraman if Ultraman was ultra-violent. So that's
exactly. I think that's all I got.
Cool.
What you got, Rob?
I have a lot because, like I say, I've been bored. But we'll do some news first. Big Bad Toy Store has some pre-orders for some cool stuff, which I may or may not have pre-ordered. One of them is they do a Good Smile Company's doing a Patlabor Ingram. That's about, I think they said it's about 7 inches tall, and he looks awesome.
Is it a model?
That one is a model, yes. I think that's a model, that one. Is it a model?
Oh, I'm going to have to get it then.
They do model, like if you look up Patlabor on Big Bad Toy Store, there's tons. But I can't remember if this was the model or if this is this is the model one, I think. And then because they do other ones that are just like the toy versions kind of. But they're also doing, which is not a model, the from Pacific Rim Black. They're doing the Hero Jaeger. And
which one? The
yeah, whatever. I forget what was his name. The blue and yellow one. The ones that kids drive.
Okay, yeah. I don't want to give away too much though.
Atlas Destroyer. That's what it's called. Yeah. So it's going to be that with a lot of options, 2 different arm options. If you watch the anime, you'll know why. And so that's cool stuff. And I'm excited. That one's by Bandai's Robot Spirits line from Bandai. So that's fun. So Big Bad Toy Store. I'm going to come like September. I think that's when I have tons of stuff pre-ordered. I'm going to have a giant box of Big Bad Toy Store coming to my house. So I have so much stuff.
How's the shipping on that?
When you do it, they do something called pile loot. So you wait till everything comes in and then you ship it all at once. And it tends to be not bad. And I think in the States it's free shipping over a certain amount too. So
nice.
Yeah. If I lived in the States, I would definitely be ordering from Big Bad Toy Store a lot more. But as it is, I have to wait. So, because I also have Flint and Lady J from the new G.I. Joe line, the 6-inch G.I. Joe line are coming out. So I have those pre-ordered. I have to get those. So I have so much. It's ridiculous. Also, Catalyst had a sale, and I bought tons of their Battletech novels from the new line, so I have all those to read now. I'm catching up. I'm in like 3062, so I have to get to 3150 or whatever the new novels are in. So I have a ways to go in my timeline, but I bought all those, so I have those in the hopper, waiting to be read. And got to catch up on the Ilkan era. So everybody's fighting over Earth now, so. We'll see who's in charge by the end of it.
What's the name of the Clan Vacation Guy novel?
Clan Vacation Guy? The Clanbuster from Black Knight Clanbuster from Creative Juggernaut, the guys we just interviewed not that long ago. People are getting previews of it, which we linked to a video. I think it's the guys from what's the name of the? Geez, I can never remember the name of the. Camo Specs Online. They did a preview of the new Clanbuster, which is all modular and you can do a lot of stuff with it, so that's fun.
That's nice.
So they previewing that. A lot of people are getting their hands on it, so that should be coming out soon from Creative Juggernaut's making it for the guys at Battletech so you'll be able to get it on their website. I watched Pacific Rim the Black. I think it's each Pacific Rim iteration kind of changes the story a bit. The first one was, big robots versus giant kaijus. The second one was kids becoming pilots, which is very anime. And this one brings it to a whole new level. There is some, we'll talk about it later, but there is some psychic abilities being shown and magic kind of stuff happening that is changed. I'm sure it's based in science of some sort, but it's definitely looks like magic. I don't know if I would
call it magic, but
wow, it's not anything that's possible with the normal rules of physics. So.
Supernatural.
Yeah. So I think it's just a progression of what's happening in the world. I did like the whole setting. That stuff was a little, okay, this is a little weird for me, but I still enjoyed the show quite a bit. And it's quick. Like, if you watch the whole thing, I think it's 3 hours long. You know, like it's almost like just a movie. So hopefully they do get a season 2. Hopefully enough people watched it, because I would like to see where it goes from there. Yeah, there's some other world building stuff that's interesting. The humans, there's like bad humans in it, which is always annoys me in the future when there's bad humans, but he was really bad, so I'm hoping he gets his comeuppance.
I guess we could talk about this part about that. You know what always kills me is whenever there are bad humans or like camps and secting, or what do you want to call it? Camps or divisions or groups of people in a catastrophic happening world. Why is it always in Australia?
Well, that's a lot of it takes place. A lot of Pacific Rim takes place in Australia. So
you know, we got Mad Max, you got Road Warrior, you got all that stuff.
Well, I think it's because you have a built-in backdrop.
Down Under.
Is that why Gundam they blew it up right away?
Yeah, so you wouldn't have to fight in it. Yeah, but you got the outback. Like, there's such a huge area to fight through that or travel through. Like, it's like a lot of Pacific Rim. The Black is the kids trying to get to the coast, and yeah, you have this terrible nature that you have to fight amongst all the kaiju and bad people running around. So I think it just adds another layer automatically, where nowhere else on the planet you wouldn't just run into big cities. Like, even in the States, in the desert, there's bigger cities, you know, like you'd end up in Vegas. So
Las Vegas, man.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just a place where there's literally nothing in the middle. So you could...
I just find it funny. It's like it's an apocalyptic world, and then we're all banded into different tribes, and yet we are fighting over Australia.
Well, I would love to see like other parts of the world in this. What happens is it happens in the first episode, so I can kind of spell that as
right. It's Pacific Rim, so you could take any part of the what do they call that? The Ring of Fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they have to shut down Australia because it gets overrun pretty much, so it gets locked down. I guess it's also separate from all the other continents, so you can lock it down. Whereas if it was in Asia, you'd be in trouble because they could just walk across land to Europe eventually. So I think it was for story reasons. That's mostly why it's in Australia. But yeah, I heard people complaining, oh, why don't they all have Australian accents? It's, well, A, it's in the future, and B, it's tons of people from all over the world are there in the Shadow Dome. So
exactly.
Yeah,
that was always the fun thing about Pacific Rim, is how multi like cultural in a way it was. Like, obviously our main characters are mostly speaking English, but you know, we had a Japanese main character. We had Idris Elba's British.
Chinese
characters were there. The Russians were there. Like,
yeah, Russians.
It was a nice like uniting of all these people.
A worldwide coalition.
Well, they had to be. Yeah, you can't. You know, that's another good thing about Pacific Rim. There wasn't infighting. There was like government control and stuff, but there was no like, and there was infighting amongst the pilots, but they were always on the same side. There's no like evil person, even in the second one, where you think it's an evil corporation. Turns out, no, the corporation wasn't evil. It's just one bad person in the corporation, you know? Like, the corporation was trying to do the right thing. So, I think that's what I like about Pacific Rim. It's kind of hopeful that everybody works together. Really.
Yeah.
Which, Walking Dead is why I hate Walking Dead, is that nobody works together. It's everybody just hates each other instantly and tries to murder each other, even if there's zombies everywhere. So, I would like to hope that if the world does fall apart, we tend to group together as humans instead of trying to kill each other. But I think the more we have Walking Deads, the more people will think that's what we're supposed to do. It's a bad lesson to be learned.
Well, I guess now there's a new version of the Dark Tower coming out too, or not Dark Tower. What's that Stephen King book?
The Stand.
The Stand. Yeah.
Yeah, it was already out. It was on Hulu or something, but now it's on Amazon, I think, or Netflix. Amazon. I think it's on Amazon. It was already been out. The whole series ended on whatever it was originally, and now you can watch it on things that people actually watch. I think it was on.
Was it like a YouTube thing?
No, it was either Hulu or Peacock or one of the ones nobody has. So
Apple Plus.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, yeah. The Stand. Yeah, The Stand. Once again, though, there's an evil, like, he's pretty much Satan causing all the trouble. So I can understand when people get corrupted. You know, it's not just humans being evil. There's a supernatural reason behind The Stand. So. Enough of that. I also watched something on Netflix called, Sturgill Simpson Sound and Fury. It was like, I didn't know what it was. I thought it was just an anime. And it turns out to be a 40-minute long music video by a country music guy who just at first I was like, oh, it must be some young country music guy who likes anime and stuff. He may still like anime, but the guy's older than I am. Like, he's 50-something. And he made this with a famous Japanese anime director. I can't remember what he did originally, the Japanese guy. He was involved with a lot of famous productions. I should have looked this up. See, I should have been prepared. But he did this video, and it's at the beginning. It's not really country music. It's more like cyberpunk blues. Like, it's really cool, and it's kind of a same story at the first part, and the very end is about this samurai who's trying to get revenge, and eventually it's his daughter trying to get revenge. But it's like a street samurai. She drives around in like I think it's a Charger or something like that. But very cool, and it's all set to music. No, it's just music. There's no dialogue or anything. And it's very stylized, and it's really cool. And eventually the music gets a little too country for me. I'm not a big fan of country music, but the beginning I was pretty into it. And you have to stay till after the credits to get the resolution of the final battle. So it's well worth watching. And like I say, it's only 40 minutes long, so you can skip if it doesn't have the samurai girl in it, skip it. But generally, I think it's worth checking out. Once again, it's on Netflix, so it's easy to do.
You said the soundtrack was country-ish?
It's a country. This Sturgill Simpson, he's a country singer. Country, like, straight up hardcore country. Like, not even, like, bluesy like the thing was. I guess this is totally a departure from its normal music. I guess the stuff near the middle, there's more country kind of songs, and I think that's what he does normally. But I don't know who thought of this. Either he thought of it, or some person around him was like, hey, you know what really sells is anime. But I don't know. I don't know why this exists, but it was pretty good. So it's called Sound and Fury. It's on Netflix.
Your music and anime, it's like peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah.
True.
It's
so delicious.
Yeah, I don't know why it happened. It just did. Also on the old Netflixes, obviously I've been watching a lot of Netflix, is been Cannon Busters, which it must have been originally, it's a Netflix original supposedly, but it definitely was in Japanese originally. But it's it's like Trigun, because it's in kind of like a futuristic Western kind of thing, but it mixed with, like, the director did Boondocks and, like, those kind of cartoons, so it's got, like, that kind of feel to it too.
Oh, I love Boondocks.
Well, there you go. You'll love this, because it's, same kind of humor. It's about an mortal, like, mercenary, sort of. No, he's not even a mercenary. He's just a guy who walks through or doesn't walk. He drives this pink Cadillac that transforms into a mecha bull. He runs across some robots and gets into trouble, and it's pretty fun. Once again, it only had one season and didn't really resolve, so hopefully you get more. But it's been pretty fun. I can't complain too much about that. The storyline. It's silly. Like, it's very silly, and at times it's really funny, and other times it's ultra violent. Like, once again, not for kids. Like, there's people eating people, and like. Jeez. And he dies horrible ways constantly because he can't be killed. So he just gets, like, one time he got just drenched in acid, and he comes back. Like, he's kind of magically comes back. He was cursed by a witch, I think, is the end result of why he can come back all the time. But so it's very interesting. Oh, I did look up the Sound and Fury director. He also did Starship Troopers Invasion. You were talking about that.
Oh, okay.
So it's the same kind of feel as those.
Would you like to know more?
Yeah. Well, it wasn't not that kind of feel, but I mean, same kind of animation feel, I would say.
Gotcha.
Anyways, Cannon Busters, not Gunbusters. That's a totally different show. But Cannon Busters is interesting. I can say it's pretty funny and fun. And once again, it's pretty short. I think there's 10 episodes, maybe half an hour each. We did talk about Ultra Mega, which I thought was really odd, and I thought it was just an Ultraman spin-off when I first started reading, and then I was like, oh my god, this is not Ultraman. Because there is a new comic coming out, Trial of Ultraman. I think it's a sequel to the other Ultraman series that Marvel's doing. So Marvel owns the right to Ultraman right now, which is Disney, so that kind of makes sense. So this is some other thing. I wonder if, hopefully they don't get sued by Disney for being Ultra Mega to being too close, but...
I know. I wonder if we'll see if Marvel owns them. Will we see another Netflix Ultraman?
Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, no, it'd be Disney Plus, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it'd be switched to Disney Plus probably, right? Yep.
Because that Ultraman on Netflix was awesome.
I haven't watched it yet. Yeah, that's on my list for sure. I'll have to check it out. By next time, I guarantee I'll watch it. Oh, I did start watching, also that's on Netflix. It's called Last Hope. Another one of these Netflix originals that were originally a Japanese show. And I've only seen the first episode, but it's post-apocalyptic mechs fighting giant kaiju as you want. But
I'm noticing a theme.
But this one was the humanity tried to create a new power source, and it went wrong, and it mutated everything. So it mutated plants, animals, everything's mutated. So
plant kaiju?
Well, it's everything. Like, everything's kind of mostly it's the animals. Like, so far it's been mostly bugs that have grown giant and tried to attack people, so there are transforming mecha in it, though, so.
We can probably make also mention, since we're talking mecha, that Mecha Godzilla is supposed to make an appearance in Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah.
They made it official, even though you can't see it very clearly in the reflection of his eye.
Well, I guess in the original trailer, there was like one shot, and everybody was like, that's Mecha Godzilla. It looks in there. I guess it's been confirmed now, yeah.
Well, he's making a big comeback ever since Ready Player One.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Same reason Gundam's making a comeback, is Ready Player One really showed that you could do it pretty cool now. So that'll be next. You'll probably see it by next time, right, Pat?
Which one?
The the Kong versus Godzilla.
I hope so. When's it supposed to come out?
I think it's mid-March or mid-April. I mean.
Oh yeah, I'll probably see it.
Actually, it might be even end of March.
I'm a sucker for these Godzilla movies, anyways, because it's my childhood.
And they're not bad.
Yeah, I mean the Godzilla King of the Beasts, King of the Ant. What was that one called again?
King of the Monsters?
King of the Monsters. I can't remember. But that was 100% awesome. And if you didn't like it, it's because you didn't grow up in the 70s and the 80s.
Oh, actually, Kong vs. Godzilla is already out. So there you go.
Shit.
You got to go to a theater to go watch it. Lastly, I was live on the Family Gamers YouTube channel talking about Mobile Armor Radio and talking about mechs and 3D.
Wait. The Family Gamers YouTube channel?
777?
That's them, yes. The link to it'll be in the show notes, but it was just a little live show.
I know there's 3 of us on this thing, yet I didn't hear about this.
Well, that's because they like me.
They only invited one of us.
Yeah. They invited the person they like. I think that's the answer.
Oh, God.
They knew we would talk the entire show.
Well, there was some technical difficulties. I had to vamp a bit, so we had some good times.
See?
It's their New York City Wi-Fi is not what it should be, so.
It used to be.
But it was fun times. We had a good talk about everything, and check it out if you want to.
Yeah, they're good folks. They got a great channel over there if you haven't checked them out before.
Yeah, a lot about miniature gaming mostly. Some other stuff. They're really into Crisis Protocol right now. That's their thing.
Hate those guys.
We played Crisis Protocol. It was fun.
No, I said I was using my favorite line for them.
Oh, you hate everyone.
I hate those guys.
You're the one who downvotes every single one of their videos, isn't it?
Oh, no. I don't hate them that much.
But, so go check it out. It's a nice little talk live. So it was pretty ridiculous.
Let me just point it out, without me or Brian.
Without the stars, just me. So
yeah, maybe
next time you should reach out to them, and if they're listening, reach out to these poor guys because they feel neglected now.
They of course they went for the talent, but they should have went for the faces.
I think they went for the guy who was available on Wednesday at 7:00 Eastern.
That has a distinct advantage.
We'll go on to the MechBay Hanger, and we'll talk about what we're going to talk about this month.
Let's do it.
Now entering the MechBay Hanger.
And welcome to the MechBay Hanger.
I like how now we're going to get to the part where we talk about what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, the rest was all just preamble to what the actual episode's about. Which this one might be short because we don't have too much to talk about.
Sure.
Something came up from all the stuff I've been watching lately that was kind of I wouldn't say it annoys me. It kind of, especially for Votoms, it really kind of changed the whole story, and not in a good way. Votoms originally, it started out as like a war mech show. Like, it was all about this guy who's just trying to get through. He keeps ending up in wars, and by the end, there's magic soldiers and space gods, and it kind of has a 2001 ending with a baby who's what is it called? Omnipotent and
omnipotent or omniscient.
Both.
Omniscient, it would be like you can see.
Yeah.
Omniscient's all-knowing.
All-knowing, yeah.
All-powerful.
He's all-knowing and all-powerful. And so it really brings in the point, psychic and magic in mech shows. You know, you guys for or against it? And for Votoms, I was kind of against it. It did lead to some storytelling, but it really changed the whole, like, it was like halfway through, whoever was doing it might have been a comic originally or whatever, or a manga originally. It seemed like whoever was doing it just got bored halfway through and just threw in this stuff. It wasn't in the original. It's like, oh, okay. But, yeah, what about you guys? I'm sure there's tons, like, obviously Gundams have the new types.
Yeah, I mean,
is that necessary? Like,
I don't know. I feel like if it works for the story, then it's okay. But if it, like happened what you said in Votoms, if it really takes it away from the origins of the story, then I don't think it belongs there, you know?
Yeah, and like you can say, like Gundam started off in a very like similar respect, right? It's a very much a like war-centric story. It's very real and kind of in a punny way down to earth. But you know, there is this component of the new type phenomena within the show, which is, you know, this whole idea that once humans have kind of left Earth's gravity, like they kind of become more psychically connected with one another, for lack of a better term. And it's you know, it does add itself in like it's used for dramatic effect too.
Yeah,
right? Because
it didn't overwhelm or change the story in the long. So I mean, it wasn't my biggest favorite part of Gundam in the sense of the new types. I mean, but then they can keep revisiting it, don't they? Throughout the different Gundams, throughout the
Zeta in particular, I think might have. I haven't watched Zebel Zeta, but like I know Zeta has a very heavy influence on new types.
Well, even just when he first meets what's her name? The girl who eventually dies. What's her name?
Char's.
Yeah.
Which one, Rob?
Yeah, but
in the original Gundam.
Are you talking about Lala? Are you talking about Thor?
Lala.
Are you talking about?
Yeah, but even like the whole thing where they have like their faces just floating in the void, talking to each other and things. It was just like really, it kind of takes away from, you know, the Gundam fighting and the whole political wrangling. Like I think I found, maybe it's just me, but I found the whole political part and where everybody stands in the universe of Gundam much more interesting than the psychic power battles or people, you know, meeting each other in the astral plane. I found it kind of odd.
It is something where like your mileage will definitely vary. And like you guys are both saying, like if it is something that's either not present early on or it you know has a very patched on kind of feel or tangent or just out of nowhere, like one show that came to my mind is Outlaw Star, right? It's very much like, you know, up to the last episode, it's very much okay. We're Firefly, right? We're just a bunch of space outlaws running around trying to make money with our spaceship, and then in the last episode, it gets super metaphysical, and suddenly like there's this astral projection of their ship, and it's punching the bad guy in the astral projected face. Like it's and then what's great about that show, I always kind of get a kick out of, is like they come back from that astral space and everything's like normal again. Yeah. And they get like a huge fine because they were running from the police or something like that. Yeah. But it was, you know, with your kind of question on that, I do think of other spaces where we've kind of accepted it, right? Like Star Wars. I immediately thought of like the Force Unleashed. You know, you're using the Force, this supernatural, for lack of a better term, magical power to fight like ATSTs and jump around on ATD. You know, just running around in Star Wars
destroyers.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It gets a little too powerful in that game, I think.
That one is a little particularly crazy. But then I also think of like super robot shows, right? So you got like your Gurren Lagans, where your mechs are like literally powered by how manly you are. Like,
Super Robot's almost built in, right? The whole magic, even Ultimate Man's kind of a magic thing where the guy transforms and gets big.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's not even like played off as magic, right? It's just the mech is a much more literal extension of the person's will. And so, like, to fun effect in Gurren Lagann, where, they just do insane, crazy things, and it's all about, believe in yourself or believe in the me that believes in you. There's a lot of fun circular logic in that show. And then you get those shows that really kind of toe the line, like Macross is another one that comes to mind, where in the original series, it's in Robotech, it's played off more that there's kind of a culture shock going on when our singing idol sings some kind of 80s pop song, and they're all just like, "What is this?"
Oh God!
But then,
is that magic, or is it just a plot point that they just never heard it before? Like...
Right. It's kind of more like just maybe think of in a real world example, how South Korea blasts K-pop at North Korea. Like, it's psychological warfare. But if you progress further down Macross, the storyline, like, music takes on, in some ways, a much more of like a manifest, like it empowers things in different ways. Macross Delta in particular, which is the most recent one that came out, there's a whole aspect about how the singing can like resonate with these magical stones and stuff like that, and it causes phenomena within the context of the show. Meanwhile, there's still very much the transforming fighter jet giant robot dogfights. It's interesting when they do blend something that is very much like a real robot show, and then the more magical supernatural elements are kind of brought in. I kind of like them more often than not.
What do you feel about when Rob first brought this topic up, I was thinking Pacific Rim in general. That's you can count drifting as a psychic link, correct?
Right.
But that's put in a really good concept to drift. But then when it starts to roll into the black, then they take it to the next level where I start to be like, oh, why would you do that?
Gotcha.
I want to talk about it, but I don't want to spoil the thing.
Well, you can say if you want to.
We'll just say spoiler alert here.
Yeah.
Close your ears. Earmuffs.
Brian, just don't even listen.
I'm not gonna talk about it, but
just what happened.
Just say it's
fine. It's probably gonna be a wild talk.
How they resolve one. In the beginning, one pilot, Jaeger driving was bad and destroyed your brain.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then they do this other thing that allows other people to. One pilot, it doesn't really destroy their brain, but it kind of messes it up.
You think that's bad? That's not the worst of it.
No. But then it starts to lead into this where we start to see this other stuff that happens later on in the story, especially at the end where I'm like, oh God, really?
Well, it's really it's interesting too, right? Because Pacific Rim, we were talking earlier about how a big aspect of that show was how culturally diverse it was, and the whole theme and core of that was bringing people together, and you have that extension into the pilots of the Jaeger themselves, right? Where it's you are not only are you working as a team, you are literally sharing like your memories with one another in the drift, as it were. And it is, a really compelling concept. And from what you're saying, it sounds like they've kind of played with that, maybe losing touch a little bit with what that original ethos was.
I think a little bit, but I don't think it's something they can't fix.
Okay.
In season 2.
Gotcha.
How do you feel about it, Rob?
For the
you watched the show.
The drifting, I didn't have a problem with that because somebody does get horribly hurt doing that, trying to do it by himself. Like he gets brain aneurysms and loses he gets a palsy. Really, he loses. So one guy gets really screwed up, and then the other kid, they said it's not good that he did it. Like he can't do it again because if he does, he'll. It's the other part that I found where there's pretty much a character who turns into a kaiju. We'll just leave it at that, and it defies once again, it's an Ultraman thing where it defies any types of physics. Like he's a little, he's a person and he grows, 100 feet tall. Like it's that kind of thing where it's just like, oh, that was a little beyond just, like, obviously it's the precursor, whatever the other dimension guy's magic is science, right? That we just don't know about. But it was a little over the line for that, I found. It was just, I didn't mind the drifting parts. I just found the other part was a little over the top.
I didn't hate it. I
don't hate it either. I think it was just weird.
I can see this is a way to just kind of, it's a lazy way, I think. But then I guess we talk about, is it always necessary to have the psychic link or magic link to your robots? We take, for example, the one that we always make fun of. What is that one you had us watch, Brian, back in the day? Darling in the Franxx.
Darling in the Franxx. I thought that was going to come up.
You didn't think we weren't going to talk about it.
Right.
So
it's an insane show.
Yeah. So I don't know. Is it just a byproduct of the anime / manga of Japan?
Yeah, a lot of it's. I also find the endings where it always goes crazy at the end is Japanese don't know how to end a series. Every time you have a Japanese series, it goes crazy at the end. They can't just have a straight over ending. It always has to go nuts.
Well, it's interesting too. So this goes back to a video I watched a long time ago, talking about a video game called Vanquish, and it actually can kind of tie in where it's a old game from Platinum, the people that made Bayonetta, and you were basically this super soldier in power armor, and one of the fun moves you could do is like the power slide, but it's like rocket powered, so it would activate slow-mo. But anyway, this video, I believe it came from a web series called Extra Credits, where it was all about like video game design and principles and stuff. And what they talked a lot about was kind of the myth of the gun, right? So in Western society, we see guns as a tool, right? And within the context of this video, they talked a lot about how we kind of have this mythology built around the gun. It was the thing that won the West, right? It helped us expand American territory, and so on and so forth. It gives someone who has little power a lot more power kind of quickly, for better or worse. And obviously there's a lot you can unpack from that. But then what they did was, in the context of Vanquish, one of the things in that game was how the gun was kind of one of those that could like transform into different weapons. And it would always kind of come out from the character. And so this is also something that you kind of reflect in. You look at Metroid, you look at Mega Man, like where the gun is literally an extension of their arm. Mm-hmm. And that it kind of ties in more closely to like some more Eastern philosophy where, your weapon and your armor are part of you, right? They're not something you hold in your hand. They are, they are you, for lack of a better word. And so I think that's another component, a fun component that you could probably unpack a whole lot in too.
Yeah, it's an extension of a metaphor, almost like it's a metaphor that the weapon's part of you, but the anime makes that real. Like it turns the metaphor into reality. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one always kind of stuck with me, and just kind of that idea, that concept of like you are one with your weapon or your armor or
Mechs.
what have you.
A lot of it is you're one with a mech. The mech acts as you act, kind of thing.
Exactly.
Like even in Battletech, they have to have the neuro helmets to make it so that it's not so clunky, because you have to make it so that it'll respond a lot better than anybody using foot pedals and joysticks could ever do, right? You have to keep your balance and be able to do things like that. And even in Battletech, which is probably one of the most hard science, like trying to be based, it even has stuff that's like, okay, we have to have a reason why you can do this legitimately. But as anime goes, yeah, most of the time it's like Pacific Rim or Gundam and things like that. You become the mech. Like what you're doing is what the mech does, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Pacific Rim, literally, like they have this harnesses where you're running and stuff, and it's literally what you're doing in the.
Exactly, yeah. Right. It's not a cockpit. It's a treadmill.
yeah.
But no, so it and that's where you start getting into some more of the metaphysical stuff, and your mileage may vary, and I think it comes down to how interwoven that concept is into your theme. So like we were saying, Pacific Rim, it was immensely integral to the message
that's the whole point
behind that whole thing is how we can connect with one another, even if we're completely different.
And there's the first movie, especially, it's the whole storyline's based around two people trying to connect, or one person losing the person they connected with, and then trying to find somebody else to replace them. Like, especially the first movie. In the second movie, it's not so much. It's pretty much like anybody, maybe it's the technology got better, but pretty much anybody, and especially by the Black, anybody can connect with anybody. It seems like you just need two people. It doesn't matter if they are compatible anymore.
Drift compatible.
Yeah, it's not drift compatible. You just have to make sure you don't get lost in your memories anymore.
Yeah, it's more of a mental thing, not so much, like, literally in Pacific Rim, some people are not compatible with other people, and it just won't work. Like, but as the technology progresses, I think from the first movie to the Black is like 60 years or something like that. So obviously technology is going to be a lot better. But it's funny, even Battletech, thinking back to Battletech, early on there was a duel between Morgan Kell and who was it, Yorinaga Kurita, and all of a sudden Morgan Kell turned invisible, like to the sensors of his opponent. It's like They stepped away from that very quickly, and it never happened again. There's not that kind of weird stuff, but even early on in Battletech, they even like, there was a little
touched on it.
Magic happening. Like, there was no reason for that to happen. It was like you won with Bushido kind of thing going on.
Stealth and technology.
Yeah, so it was. I'm glad Battletech stepped away from that. There is no aliens in Battletech, even if Far Country is a book that doesn't exist. But there's no sentient aliens. There's no magic. There's no psychic powers, and that's one way to go. I think I tend to go on that side of it. I like the more hard, and that's true too. I kind of tend away from super robots too. So, but what about you guys? What about you, Pat? What do you how do you feel about this stuff?
As hard, or I don't know. I think I walk the middle.
Yeah.
Because I like them both. I don't like ones that are overly crazy, like Darling in the Franxx.
That's fair.
I mean, that was just too much.
That was a lot.
That was a lot. I mean, if you don't know, guys, find the episode where we talk about it in depth. I wish I could give you an episode number, but I'm not that smart.
I can't even say like I apologize in advance because it happened already.
But I feel like everyone should experience it like me and Rob experienced it. Just go out and watch one episode.
Well, that's it. It was the original Brian trap video. That's it. Brian got us to watch something that was odd, and now every time Brian suggests anything, I'm scared.
It was something recommended to me. Like, I watched one episode with my friends, and it was just like, man, this is a strange show, you guys. I gotta finish it.
Yeah, well, and I think you also didn't sell it,
like you said.
What was that?
I think I walked the line. I think I'm right down the middle on either or, as long as it's done well and it doesn't change the original premise of the show, like I said in the beginning.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the new types in Gundam too much. It wasn't that bad. But it did kind of pop up in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Drifting in Pacific Rim I like. The Neuro Helmet in Battletech by itself is just a nice enough thing too.
Yeah.
I know in Atlantic Rim they didn't have to drift; they just piloted mechs.
I just went up and wham and wham and wham.
Oh, I love that movie. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I lean towards one or the other. I mean, I feel like sometimes I just kind of expect at some point in an anime it's going to happen.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about Power Rangers.
Power Rangers are after my time. I don't know much about Power Rangers.
I don't know much about Power Rangers either.
They essentially like have the ability to summon their robots, and they join together, and suddenly there's a giant sword, and they cut their enemy in half, and it's just like.
And they also transform from white people or North American people to Asian people who are in costumes, really magically.
Yeah. Man, that's got a lot of magic in it.
Yeah, that's definitely obvious. Well, it's got its own genre, but it is definitely magic based. That
I mean, I guess I'm really thinking about it. I mean, I guess there's a psychic link, at least in the reboot of Voltron. You know, they had the kind of, what's the word, meet the approval of the line before the line would open up to them.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe it's more prevalent than I thought. Maybe I just expect.
And like I think I said this before the show. I was talking with either one of you guys. I think it was when Pat stepped away. It was something where it's like, they're actually like it's woven into a lot of things. It's just kind of how much in the foreground it is, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost like you automatically have to suspend disbelief. You have giant robots, so. And you might as well throw in some psychic stuff, or might as well throw in some magic stuff. Magic is different from psychic stuff. It's I think that's a little more rare, other than in super robot shows. But like psychic stuff seems to be pretty common. Like at least in the basic, like you're saying, people connecting brains or people.
Yeah, I guess it has to happen then at that point, right? Because you're really talking about connecting a human brain to a robot, or connecting two humans to pilot a robot.
Yeah. Like that's a bare minimum. Or even Min-May's music. Is it a superpower? Is it just
the aliens? Because who likes Min-May?
Or even in Mosquito, when Aisha can detect other in-bit running around. Like that seems to be another thing, is when the people can detect the enemy kind of thing. That happens a lot. They have that sixth sense kind of Spidey sense happen a lot. I find that in a lot of shows.
I don't mind that as much. I don't mind that as much though.
It's just a slight extension of psychic powers. Then there's full-on psychic stuff, or full-on magic stuff too, like where people are shooting magic beams, or even in what's it called? In Power Rangers, one of them villains is a witch, pretty much, right? Like she's
she's a witch.
So I mean, like that's the far end on the other side, right?
Queen Rita?
I can't remember.
I think it's just Rita.
It might have just been Rita.
Rita Repulsa.
Rita Repulsa, that's what it was.
Why do I know this much? I've never seen the show in my life. But yeah, like, so I guess it's, different levels, right? And I'm sure, Brian, you like the super robot stuff a lot more, so I assume that you don't mind too much when stuff invades.
I watch a whole bunch of different stuff, so. Yeah. I think I'm in the same boat, though. Like, I think I don't mind it more often than not. But I think it always does kind of come back to, like we're saying, as long as the quality is there, like as long as it has a reason for being there, I think is where I'm more accepting on it. I'm trying to think of I kind of gave the example like Outlaw Star earlier, and I'm sure there's plenty more where it's like, okay, suddenly, like our characters can now speak telepathically with one another, or I summoned the robot without thinking, like it came to my aid.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Well, that's what. Yeah, Votoms was the one that really pushed me over the edge, because it was like the third act. All of a sudden, it's like, whoa, where'd this come from? Like, there was like perfect soldiers were kind of a concept, but it was almost at the beginning it was presented like genetically engineered people who are just better at it. But by the end, no, they're like magic. Like it's people who literally are, different than humans, And I think that's what really pushed me over the edge in that particular show.
Yeah, and there will be the ones where like sometimes they'll try to explain X, Y, or Z. Like I think of the Metal Gear franchise, right, where they have these giant robots hopping all over the place and whatnot by the end of the series, and there's a lot of kind of hand waving, but it's like it's very much supposed to be. It's like, no, this is science made this possible. But
well, they also have Psycho Mantis early too, though. He's in like the first game, so
yeah.
So you already had psychic powers in that game, so.
And I mean, like there's plenty of other super crazy shows out there and stuff like Evangelion and.
Evangelion's another one that by the end you're like, it wasn't normal the whole way through, but by the end you're like, what the hell is going on?
No, there was a great amount of magic or divine, you might say.
Yeah, they're fighting angels, really. So
yeah, but I also think of like Mass Effect and stuff like that. Like, so I think it is much more common these days when we've been more open to blending our genres together a bit more. I think. I always think back to how like William Gibson, the author for Neuromancer and stuff like that, like he kind of famously poo-pooed Shadowrun.
Yeah, he didn't
because it was like I don't like elves and orcs and stuff in my cyberpunk world.
Yeah, it was all supposed to be super realistic. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's his opinion. I think it's fun.
Once again,
we didn't even talk about Shadowrun.
Yeah, Shadowrun's a big one. But even in Cyberpunk, the new game, there's a lot of things that happen that it looks like magic, but it is technology. And they always say that, like, what's the difference, really? It's
that's the line they use in Thor, isn't it?
Yeah,
one man's science is another man's magic.
Yeah, I think it's a famous quote. Is that once science progresses so far, it's indistinguishable from magic, right? But it's when it's so blatant, I think, or out of the place. That is the issue. You know?
The biggest thing is when it's out of place and it doesn't contribute. I think is the big thing.
Or they use it as a get out of free jail card. Like all of a sudden, hey, this person could do this. It's like, well, they never could do that before. Many times before they could use that ability. Why didn't they all of a sudden use that ability now? That's when it's poorly written. I think it's rare, especially in Japanese stuff, to have it poorly written. I think it. Once again, for long running things, I think it's people get bored and they want to add something new to it, so they throw in some stuff. And I'm sure that's what Votoms was, because I think Votoms was originally a manga, and I'm sure like after the 1000th issue of that manga, they're like, you know what? I'm bored with just mechs fighting each other. Let's throw in some crazy stuff to spice this up a bit. So,
right. Or I just read this really cool manga about Gundam.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, so at the end of the day, I think I generally enjoy both when it's present, when it's not. At the end of the day, the big thing is the quality of it.
It's all just glitches in the Matrix, anyways. That's magic for you.
Oh, there you go. There's Matrix.
Especially in the Matrix anime, there was ghosts and things, but it was just that's how they explain it. So it's glitches in the Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Or there's vampires and things like that. Yeah, just old code. So we're all in a simulation, so none of it matters anyways. I think that's a way to sum it up, right, guys?
That's true. I'm going to change my program to become a mech pilot.
There you go.
There you go.
Next reboot. Okay, we'll go to the ExFil and get out of here. It was a good conversation.
Let's ExFil out of here.
Well, it's the ExFil. We've done for another month. We've made it, boys.
And he thought that would be a short roundtable discussion.
We went on for a while, but that's good. But once again, come to our Facebook group, Mobile Armor Radio. Come to our Discord. Come to Twitter, YouTube. We got to do more stuff for YouTube. We don't do enough YouTube.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I'm trying to get some battle reports up of some Cav and maybe some Alpha Strike.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
there you go. We gotta hire Rick Hall to do some Alpha Strike battle reports.
Yeah. So I got a guy I play Alpha Strike and Cav. I'm gonna talk to him about filming some stuff.
Cool.
Nice.
And Brian, Rick already volunteered you to play some Mech Zone. So.
Oh yeah, we were talking a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So we might get some mech battles on Dead Zone, the podcast.
That'll be fun.
I also want to record our mech hack game.
Yes, we gotta play more role playing games. That's for sure.
Yeah.
We say that.
Only there was more time in the world.
We never plug your other stuff too. Brian is on Dead Zone, the podcast. Go watch that. Pat, you've revitalized the Mantic podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. You've been doing
once a week, every Wednesday.
Yep.
If you're interested in anything Mantic related, check it out.
Nice.
Rob, what do you guys got going over with old Vinland?
Oh, nothing. We we never do anything anymore. But yeah. Also, what is it? DeadZoneGame.podbean.com. It's been so long I had to remember how to say it.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. Dead Zone. We're also like very active on our Facebook page too, Dead Zone the podcast. So go check it out there. And yeah, I don't know if you listened to the last couple episodes. We're just getting around to like plugging where we actually have social media. We've been at it for like a year and a half.
Man, this one we've been at it for like 3 years, and we've never plugged stuff before. I always forget to plug at the end. So
yeah,
check out everybody else's stuff. And,
yeah. Redline should be shipping. Yeah,
eventually
within months.
Battletech Wave 2 should be shipping.
Yep. Check out that. Oh Christ, I forgot the name of the company already.
Which one?
The guys that are making the guys that are making the Battletech minis.
Oh, Kids Logic.
Is it Kids Logic?
Oh, not Battletech. Oh, you're. I was thinking of the Kids Logic's doing the Robotech game.
Yes.
No, the Catalyst Games
Catalyst?
is but it's what is it? Something Juggernaut is the guys. God,
these all be in the show notes. These all be in the show notes.
Yeah, but anyways, it'll be on Catalyst Games Labs website when they eventually release the minis.
Yeah.
Yeah, tons of stuff. But like I say, Robotech game is coming out. I'm not sure about it. We'll have to get some previews of it because it's. I'm not sure.
Stranger Than Games, looking at you.
And yeah, Strange Machine.
Strange Machine Games. Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a strike. That's a strike.
They're doing the new Robotech Reconstruction, I think it's called. That's a different game. Yeah. Anyways, check out all this stuff. Once again, you go on our Facebook page. We plug all this stuff because we love it. Anytime I find anything mech related that I think is cool, I always post it on the Facebook page. So yeah,
and since Rob's our content guy, he does most of the posts.
No, Brian posts a lot too.
Every now and then.
You do post. Anytime there's a new anime coming out, you always do it.
I try to keep people in the loop.
Yep. And
perfect.
So yeah, we're all good. We'll see you next time on Mobile Armor Radio.
April Fools.
Night, guys.
This has been Mobile Armor Radio. Join our Facebook group by searching for Mobile Armor Radio. Find us on Twitter at @MArmorRadio. Find us on iTunes and visit our website, mobilearmorradio.podbean.com. Join us on the first of every month for more Mecha discussion.